Good morning, YouTubers, and welcome back to my channel. Two apologies at the outset. First of all, if I sound a bit nasal and a bit sniffly as I'm speaking to you, it's that time of year for me. I get hay fever, but I get it early in the year from tree pollen rather than grass pollen. And it seems to be really, really bad this year. I actually thought I was getting a cold for a day or so until I realised I didn't feel generally ill and I hadn't got a temperature. It was just, real snuffliness from the hay fever and sore eyes. So that's the first apology. The second is the lighting. I know a lot of you folks hate my lighting. I hate my lighting. It isn't professional lighting. I do the best I can. Filming in the window today, and I have got a bright light box behind me as well. The sky is absolutely leaden here in London today, although it's 9:30 in the morning and not late at night, as you might think looking at this picture. It really looks almost as if it's going to snow. I haven't been out yet, so I don't know what the temperature's like, but it's very dark. So apologies. However, I think the brightness of this nail varnish that I'm about to show you from Chanel will probably offset the dreary lighting, because it's the Intemporel polish from the very small Intemporel collection. I also have the eye palette that I want to show you, but the lighting is so dire at the moment I hardly dare do that. I might have a try after this. So as you can see, it is a bright chromy silver, which kind of unusual, for spring, but I guess, several of the collections, not just Chanel, haven't been in terribly traditional colours for spring. I always think of silvers for, I don't know, I guess winter, but no. I applied one coat last night when I got back late last night, and that's literally one coat that you can see there in my somewhat grainy iPad. I found it quite thick and so slightly awkward to work with, but as you can see, it gave complete opacity in one coat. It is streaky, but perhaps not as badly streaky as it might be. So it's a slightly odd formula, I have to say. For a very thick coat, it dried relatively quickly, so no complaints there. And yeah. Do I like it? I'm not a huge silver lover. You laugh out loud when you see how many silvers I've pulled from my collection to show you by way of comparison, but I am a Chanel collector. The occasions I find for wearing silver nail polish are few and far between, because, I do feel slightly kind of futuristically going out with my nails today. I've put on this really kind of punky glam bracelet to go with the silver look, but I don't quite know what I'm going to wear, and I dread to think what my eye makeup's going to be to go with this. But I'm not actually formally working today, so it doesn't matter too much, and I have my nails done again tomorrow, so it won't be silver. So sorry, big digression. Silver's not for everybody, I don't think. So you might want one silver in your nail varnish collection, but you're not going to want really loads of them unless you're a complete dingbat like me and like to collect all of the Chanel nail polishes. It's not the same with red. A woman can live with quite a few reds in her nail polish collection. So I think what I'm saying is, you've got to either be a real silver nut to want this one, or, Chanel collector. But, there we go. So going to the collection, I found I'd got quite a few that are very, very similar. Here's silver, which would be the most obvious one. I'm going to show it on a wheel in a minute, but next to each other in the bottle really doesn't look to be any difference, which was interesting because silver is supposed to be worn with a particular undercoat that it was sold with. I also think it's very, very similar, this silver, to Mercure, which is a much, much older Chanel polish, so the formulation's likely to be different, and it does look a bit more kind of grainy to me in the bottle, but the actual tone, very, very similar indeed. So those two, almost in the bottle, dead ringers. I did think, interestingly, this isn't a ringer for it. This is Paradiso, which is one of the three very recent spring, and it's much more kind of greeny, pearlized rather than chrome. But they're very definitely in the same colour range. Now, I will say this does look somewhat different on than it looks in the bottle. Comes off more grey-green, but definite kind of silver. So someone who's doing the Chanel makeup range at the moment is very much into the same palette. A few kind of other silvers that I've got. Well, this isn't a silver. This is Sweet Star, which was the Fashion Night Out release last autumn that a lot of people were very excited about. And I've read the few reviews of Intemporel online, comparing it very unfavourably with Sweet Star. Now, I have to say, I wasn't as great a fan of Sweet Star as a lot of people. I've only worn it, I think, maybe once out, had it on twice. Somehow it makes my nails look a bit icky, slightly more so than the Intemporel. So actually, although I can understand why people find Sweet Star very much more nuanced, I think I prefer Intemporel. And then I also, by way of contrast, brought out a few of the silver glitters. Here's Lame. I mean, this is just an amazing polish for a party. You're not going to wear it very often, but it is fantastic. And I think sometimes, if you're going to do silver, why not do silver glitter? Go all the way. So I actually think that's the Chanel classic. And then one of my favourites, which actually is a lot more wearable than it's looking in the bottle here, is Graphite, which again is a cooler silver with a lot of micro shimmer bordering on glitter in it, which I like very much. I like Quartz as well, its partner. And here's Kaleidoscope. As you can see, a much warmer, almost gold duochrome, but with a bit more micro shimmer in, kind of a partnership. So Chanel do these very, very well. So shall we have a look at a few swatches of these? As I say, I've got the Intemporel on, but just so you can see, it feels much tackier when you take it out of the bottle than a lot of Chanel's, but going on the nail wheel very, very smoothly there, and actually applying without too many brush strokes. Of course, the nail wheel is fairly misleading unless your nails are a strange plastic colour and plastic smooth, which most are not. Let's put the silver next to it, because in the bottle they look pretty much identical. Now immediately I can tell you it feels, difficult to illustrate this, much more watery, like a kind of paint rather than varnish, than the Intemporel did. Although it seems to apply to the wheel the same. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between those two. This looks slightly deeper, darker, but just as metallic. Now, what would be interesting is if you, and I've done it, believe you me, put on the silver without the special base coat, it flakes very, very quickly. So there's something about the formula of that doesn't work without. How about Mercure, which I thought was similar? I'm doing quite well. I always dread not being able to get into these bottles. Again, not as watery as the silver in feel, but definitely not as thick as Intemporel. Oh, and going on much more thin. You would need 2 coats of this on the nail. No two ways. So again, because silver is so close to the nail wheel colour, you're not seeing it as much, but it's definitely a much sheerer polish, probably a bit more wearable because of that, and looks a bit more glittery is the wrong word, but it's definitely got a sheen. So those are the three that I think are the most similar. Let's just give you, let's give you a Paradiso, because that does look quite different on, but you can see that it's very much in the same sort of colour texture range. If I swatch it, so definitely not as metallic, more pearlized than metallic, and coming a bit greener, but you know, the same sort of idea. Can you see it's that one? So it's quite difficult to illustrate these on the wheel. Let's show you Sweet Star quickly. Now this one, the formulation I can immediately feel is much more similar to Intemporel, so it's partly something to do with the modern formulations, although interestingly Paradiso there was also quite thin. And you can see immediately Sweet Star's in a different colour range. I found I needed 2 coats of Sweet Star. There you are. There it is on me, which is why I didn't quite like it. I didn't think it made my fingers look quite red. I do like beiges, taupes, so it wasn't that. And then just for a bit of fun, let's have a bit of Lame. See a real bit of silver on your nail. There you go. Glitter Ball Central. Although again, it's quite a sheer, it's a wonderful top coat, and actually quite easy to remove compared to some. So there you go. There's a few silvers for to feast your eyes on. But Intemporel, not a must-have, but quite an interesting formulation and fun if you haven't got a silver. I will be showing the eye palette as soon as I can get it in decent lighting. Until then, bye for now.